Well, welcome to Module 7 of our preaching class. And we've come to the point where we're going to chat for a few minutes about creating slides for your sermon. Now, you've done the exegesis, you've developed some kind of transcript, outline, or whatever it is you're going to use. And now you're deciding, am I going to use slides? Well, most churches, you're going to have to use some kind of multimedia. I would check and make sure if you're first time at a church that they have multimedia. Well, if you do create them using PowerPoint or actually whatever product you wish to use, there are a few things in mind. Font sizes. Do not go smaller than 24-point Arial. Why? Because it won't be readable. If you have to go less than 24, and I like to play with 32 or above, then you have too much information on the screen and it's going to overwhelm them. How do you separate information on that slide, on that screen? I tend to use colors. Now, black background with a white lettering is probably the best. Second best, I think, is yellow on black. Don't jam your screens with lots of stuff. Your slides, I should say, with a lot of things. But you could spread that information out on multiple slides. As far as backgrounds, solid colors. Like I said, black background with white is actually the best. I would not use pictures in my background. If you notice the slide I'm showing you, I have the picture off to the side, the graphic, and the words on one side. That works nicely. It's on a black background. That works nice. If you put words over pictures, there's a tendency to lose them. Remembering a lot of your people are older and it's going to be hard for them to decipher. Black on white or white on black is I like because you may have some colorblind people in your congregation. And black and white's about as simple as you can get. So keep them simple. Keep the fonts as large as you can. Don't put a whole lot of information on a slide. Spread them out when you can. Don't use motion backgrounds. Another reason, by the way, vertigo. I actually had a parishioner who had to leave the worship because I had a very slow background moving and it instigated her vertigo. Last part of this module is how do you get people involved in your message? Think about what would motivate you, and that, of course, would work well. If you know the people and you can work in some rhetorical questions, that always works. Problem is you can't be on a transcript and do that. I can do that because I use an outline and I'm free form. But even if you're reading a transcript, if you have a statement saying, oh, well, what's a good one? Jesus says, don't steal. You could look at someone out. You could look out there and say, so have any of you stolen anything? Don't raise your hands. Think about how you felt. See, now I'm doing the kinesthetic thing also. If you can get people involved, participation, contribution works well. Danger. If you open rhetorical questions up, if you start talking to people directly, you may start getting comments and questions that you're not ready for. I had a rhetorical question once in a Christmas Eve worship, and a 35-year-old decided he was going to answer it. Okay, now I got to deal with it. And of course, his answer had nothing to do with Christmas. So I had to say, hey, we're going to put your question in the parking lot for a while. We'll come back to it, but it's not something we're covering tonight. So be careful how you get involved. If you can leave the podium and walk in front of them, and if there's a center aisle and you want to get involvement really quick, start going up the center aisle. Don't go more than maybe a quarter of the way back. Everybody's going to be involved. That's a reaction that we have from school. When I went to school, everything was in horseshoes in the lower grades. And when the teacher wanted to make sure everybody was listening, she would walk into the center. That's a presentation skill, by the way, that I learned when I was doing facilitation and teaching classes. Walk into the center of the U. In a church, walk down the center aisle if you have one. If you have only two side aisles, as some churches do, then you can always go down one and come back and go down the other. I've actually once talked about Abraham taking his trip to Canaan, and I actually walked around the entire sanctuary. Man, they were pinned on me the whole time. So think about how you can get people involved. If they are emotionally connected to your message, they are listening. So I leave that up to you. Go into the workbook, answer the questions, see if anything else comes to mind, and I will see you in the next module, Module 8.